Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Joy Newsroom. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlimle. Also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Shala Sechi. Coming up, New Patriotic Party announces general amnesty for all members who have been suspended or are facing disciplinary proceedings. The Central Regional Police Command is also on a manhunt for a gang of armed robbers who engaged in a gun battle with the Winneba police after attempting to rob the Microfin Rural Bank at Gomwa Pomaze in the Gomwa Central District. It's also one of the hottest songs from Black Sherif's Iron Boy album, Sacrifice, on Showbiz A to Z's new Music Lab segment. Kwame Dancy and his guest dissects the full song in postmortem. This is Joy News, home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay with us for details. Thanks for joining us. To a very fast story, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, has announced a general amnesty for all members who have been suspended or are facing disciplinary proceedings as part of efforts to foster unity and reconciliation within the party. In a directive signed by the acting national chairman, Dankwa Smith Bute, the party explained that the decision was taken at an emergency National Council meeting held on Friday, July 25, 2025. However, the party made it clear that members seeking reinstatement must submit a formal application to the National Secretariat. It said reinstated members will remain ineligible to contest any internal party election until a mandatory 2-year period has elapsed. Let's bring you that statement now. And the statement reads, I bring you warm greetings from the National Secretariat of the party. I write to inform you that the National Council at its emergency meeting held on Friday, July 2025, resolved in the interest of unity and reconciliation to grant a general amnesty to all party members who have been suspended or whose disciplinary cases are currently pending before the appropriate adjudicatory bodies. We hereby serve notice that this directive lifts all such suspensions and waives any ongoing proceedings against affected members. Members who have forfeited their membership are required to submit a formal application to the National Secretariat for reinstatement. Upon reinstatement, you shall remain ineligible to contest any internal party election until a mandatory 2-year period has elapsed. This measure reflects the party's unwavering commitment to fostering internal cohesion and strengthening solidarity and preparing collectively for the political task ahead. In view of this resolution, party leadership at all levels is hereby strictly advised to refrain from any arbitrary suspension of members. All disciplinary matters must be handled solely in accordance with the procedures, principles, and due process provisions expressly enshrined in the party's constitution. The National Secretariat requests your full compliance with this directive. This is signed by Mr. Dankwa Smith Bute, who is the acting national chairman of the NPP. Joining us now is political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. All right, we'll bring you details, more of that in a subsequent bulletin. But now let's go to the Central Region, where the Regional Police Command is on a manhunt for a gang of armed robbers who engaged in a gun battle with the Winneba police after attempting to rob the Microfin Rural Bank at Gomwa Pomaze in the Gomwa Central District. According to police reports, the incident occurred around 1:50 a.m. at the weekend when robbers tied up 4 security officers on a night duty before breaking into the bank in an attempt to steal money. Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Central Regional Police Command, Chief Inspector Isaac Enti, told Adom News that the robbers opened fire when the police patrol team arrived at the scene. The officers returned fire, forcing the gang to flee. Police retrieved 2 empty BB cartridges, 2 iron bars, a saw blade, 2 sharp cutting plates, 2 padlocks, a pump-action gun, cartridges and a set of door lockers left behind by the robbers. Chief Inspector NC added that although the robbers destroyed doors and windows at the bank, they were unable to take any cash due to the swift intervention of the police.
50 a.m. The Winneba Police Command received information that some armed masked men were robbing Microphone Rural Bank at Pomazi, opposite Perez University Junction. On receipt of the information, the Winneba patrol team proceeded to the robbery scene. On sighting the police patrol team by the robbers, they opened fire at police, and some of the bullets hit the front view of the police vehicle, but there was no casualty. Police responded in like manner, making the robbers flee the crime scene. Police initial investigation conducted at the bank premises revealed that the 4 private security were on night duty, have been tied up by the armed robbers. Police also found a welding cutting machine, a screwdriver, 2 BB cartridges, 1 pump machine gun, shells, 2 iron bars, 2 sharp cutting plates, padlocks, hacksaw blade, and stuff like that to cut the banking hall to rob. Police further investigation into the banking hall also revealed that no money was taken because they couldn't break into the vault as a result of police early response. The Central Regional Police Command assures the public and the people of Pomazi that the armed culprits will be apprehended to face the full rigors of the law. Investigations are ongoing.
Now let's retrace to our earlier story. Joining us now is political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asante. Doc, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Does granting amnesty to suspended members strengthen or weaken the institutional capacity of political parties to enforce discipline in Ghana's democracy?
Yeah, in party politics, institutions count a lot. So one would have thought that if people go contrary to the rules of the game, you obviously have to walk them through the legal process. And at the end of the day, if they deserve sanction, you sanction them. But I also know that as part of constitutional processes, you can also grant amnesty and just to tell them that go and sin no more. It's also within the framework of the law, because if you don't want to give punishment, you can give amnesty, and that is also normal. Remember, in politics, it's a game of numbers, so you always want to have the numbers at all times to support you, and that is why I'm sure they are doing that. But the downside of it is that when people are able to be giving such reprieve, there is always the tendency for others to emulate them and also do what others have done, and they expect that they will also be given amnesty. That is the difficulty about amnesty situations. But apart from that, it is normal and it's within the framework of every legal jurisdiction.
Could this meaningfully influence voter perceptions of the NPP's credibility and unity heading into the 2028 elections?
I missed the first portion. If you recap it, I'll be most grateful.
Okay, I'm asking if this could move meaningfully, or if this move could meaningfully influence voter perceptions of the NPP's credibility and unity heading into future national elections.
Well, as for NPP, it's a credible organization, so there's no doubt that their image is still intact, except that there are, internal problems, which it is with every political party. Once they are able to put their house in order, I believe that they will be able to soldier on and then compete in whatever election that is ahead of them.
So then how might the 2-year ban on reinstated members contesting elections shape intra-party functional dynamics and power struggles?
Or they have stated in their release that even though they've given amnesty, those individuals would not contest until the 2 years period elapse. So I think that is the limit to which they can go. You have wronged the party, for which reason you needed to be gone through a process, and if you are not able to meet their requirements, you are sanctioned. At the end of the day, they say, look, go, we are forgiving you, go and sin no more, and that you will not be able to contest for the next election unless the 2-year ban is what exhausted. That, for me, is a fair point, and it must be respected as such.
Okay, so then to what extent does this amnesty balance reconciliation with accountability for misconduct within political organizations?
Yeah, that is what I earlier on said, that the downside is that it emboldens others to, if you, for want of a better expression, want to behave in a similar fashion. But that it is also within the legal remit that amnesty can be given without even going through the process and all that. So it's a difficult balance, but I'm sure that it doesn't give anybody the license to misbehave, because the rules are there, and that whoever flouts them, you may not be lucky the next time and you'll be sanctioned. And for me, that is where the barrier comes in.
All right, thanks for joining us, Doc. And you're still on JoyNews Room. Now let's move on. Still on the NPP, special aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, Dennis Miracle Abuaji, is calling for the scrapping of the position of presidential envoy on interfaith and ecumenical relations. Speaking on Newsfile, he questioned why taxpayers' money should fund a role he says only duplicates existing responsibilities within government. According to him, if such a position is necessary, governments should be transparent about it. He argued that with a Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs already in place, any interfaith concerns could be addressed through a dedicated desk or unit within that ministry. The current presidential envoy, Elvis Afriyie Ankrah, has come under criticism following his recent directive asking prophets with prophecies of national significance to submit them to his office for review.
Honorable Elvis Afriyie Ankrah's position should be scrapped. First of all, I don't think there is any reason why the state should be spending money on a presidential staffer to be playing that role. The government should be clear. If you want to secretly appoint a deputy minister or a minister for religious affairs, do it. But don't hide it under a different cloth. We have a minister for local government, chieftaincy and religious affairs. If anything, that's his job. He should have a unit or a desk in his ministry. But if you have a whole presidential staffer in the caliber of Honorable Elvis Afriyie Ankrah to be doing this and to be moving around with pastors and prophets all over the place, what is the use of the ministry? You know, and that's the point we keep making about the NDC pretending that they are reducing, number of ministers, but they are using covert ways to appoint so many people. Because if it's a presidential staffer as we hear it, then he is at least at the level of a deputy minister. So you may as well just announce him as such, but that's notwithstanding.
Interfaith coordination, that's an important office.
But you have a minister for religious affairs. It's not an office for prophecies.
You
have a minister for religious affairs. I agree with you. I'm saying that you have a minister for religious affairs. So if you want to appoint another one, do it. Don't tell us you've cut down ministers and you're appointing people at the same level of ministers to play roles that you could have done. But let me come to the substantive matter. So I've heard him actually use 1 Thessalonians as a basis for the approach. In fact, he quoted 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 20, which says that do not treat prophecies with contempt, but test them all. Hold on to what is good. I watched the banter between him and Uncle Kwesi Pratt on Metro. My only challenge I have with Elvis's position is that, you see, the Bible talks about testing of prophecies, but that's a spiritual exercise. It is not a carnal exercise.
He's an intercessor, you know that.
It's a spiritual exercise. Now, in this exercise of spirituality, you can reference 1 John 4 verse 1. It's not a governmental function. This issue is bringing up issues that are theological, practical, and even constitutional. You cannot use human systems and structures to control prophecies. That is a big problem. In fact, he's right, because even Jeremiah speaks about false prophets. And Jeremiah raises serious issues about how a lot of false prophets have gone into the world. But there's nowhere in the Bible that he refers to that says that government can control or censor prophecies. Indeed, even in the Bible, at the time when there was an attempt by some governments to control prophecies, you know what they did? What they did was that they used that to control the people. And they started influencing prophets to say things that they want them to say so that people will follow. So there's actually a biblical principle when it comes to an attempt by government to control prophecies. It's in the Bible, where in an attempt to control the people, the government at the time actually did the true prophets.
Elvis Afriyanka clarified that the office was established to handle a range of responsibilities.
Appointment letter about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So people haven't heard about the appointment, people didn't know about it, people didn't know about the office. So that alone was a problem. And then when the statement came out, we did not define the office because that was not the purpose. Yeah. And so for good reason, maybe some people felt that, oh, an office has been set up solely to collect prophecy. That's why you saw all those memes and all that. But I took it in good faith. It's part of the others of the job. But importantly, the office is meant to coordinate with all the various religious bodies, Christian, Muslim, and other faiths, and to help foster unity and oneness in the country, both locally and across the sub-region. And unfortunately, within this period when the country is grieving, you have situations where people say, well, we foresaw it, but we couldn't get access to officialdom. Okay. And can you imagine, my name is my brother, well, close. Somebody says, look, I tried to call him. I saw the videos, whether it was really before. He says he saw it. Maybe, oh, bro, Charlie, this is before we hear. Maybe go by road or something. We wouldn't be here today. So it's within that context that we said, look, if you have a prophecy, so it's not all prophecies. It's not even all prophecies about state officials or even the president. We're saying that those that are sensitive and delicate, there's nothing strange about assessing the prophecy, whether there is substance in it, because some definitely will be chaff. There's a lot that is coming that is chaff, complete bogus, that will be thrown into the dustbin. But there may be a few that may have some substance, and then you if you need to speak to the people for further clarification, you do that. However, we had a crisis on our hands. In the midst of this, when families were grieving and were all traumatized, they are telling us that there's more going to happen. More planes are going to fall. And then people think we should just leave it and allow it to go as business as usual. Respectfully, I disagree with us. People can disagree. I have a very strong view about this matter, that there was a need for this intervention to bring some order, so that people will not say, oh, we saw it, well, we didn't have the opportunity. We are giving you the opportunity so that if there's a need for us to do something about it, then we will do it.
Yeah. Have you received any so far?
Oh, plenty. Oh my goodness. There's somebody who is a dedicated volunteer who is, and then...
Can you put a number to the number of...
Oh, I don't want to, but it's plenty, believe me.
More than 200?
Oh, it should be more,
500?
Like I said, I don't want to play the numbers game. Okay. But what I'm saying is that, by and large, 70, 80% is not of no substance. Okay. Then you look at the rest, the 20%, and then you sift through, and maybe 2, 3, 5% may deserve some further probe. So it's not a full-time job or office that has been set up solely to receive prophecies. That's not how it works.
And the founder of the Accident Victims Support Foundation, Reverend Cyril Crabbe, is urging state authorities to step up efforts to curb the spate of road accidents. He is pushing for practical and preventive measures such as durable road construction, regular maintenance, and a change in public attitudes towards road use. Reverend Crabbe stressed that Ghana must move away from reactive responses and instead adopt policies that give equal attention to preventing crashes and supporting victims. The Accident Support Foundation has long championed a national victims support policy to provide psychological, legal, and financial aid to crash survivors and their families. This call comes after yet another fatal accident at Esuboy near Suhum on the Accra-Kumasi highway on Saturday, which claimed 5 lives. Eyewitnesses say a tire burst caused the driver to lose control of the vehicle. 5 passengers died instantly, while several others sustained injuries of varying severity. Here is an eyewitness account from Thomas Bezra.
When I reached a town called Esuboy, right after Esuboy bus stop, when you are descending, then I saw a sprinter coming from Kumasi. So at once, the car was somersaulting. So I slowed down and then I parked. I was riding. And by then, I could see a lot of passengers. There are some people on the other side of the road. Some also on the spot. I can count about four people who died on the spot. Because looking at them, I am sure they passed on the spot. So right after the accident, there's one man that I carry on my back to Suhum Government Hospital. So I asked him what actually happened, and he told me it was a tire burst. One of the driver's side, the back tire of the sprinter got back. So the driver lost control, and then the car somersaulted.
Okay, so what is the driver as we speak?
Come again.
What is the driver as we speak?
I don't know, because according to the man, the driver and then the mate.
So what has happened to the remaining victims, the surviving ones?
So at that point in time, we were calling the ambulance. I called the ambulance personally, but they didn't come on time. So one man used his pickup vehicle that they took some injured people to the hospital.
And that's a sad incident. The founder of Accident Victim Support Foundation, Reverend Cyril Crab, joins me in studio now. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, my sister.
How are you doing?
I can't complain under pressure.
Well, National Road Safety Authority has recorded that 1,500 fatal road crashes since January to June 2025. What, in your expertise, is the cause of these alarming numbers?
Thank you very much, and a good afternoon to all your cherished viewers, and also condolences to the families of the plane crash. We have not treated plane crash before, so I don't know, but I'm in that state. You know, we are still mourning, and these things are happening. If you ask me, Esuboy, Chichamante, Suhum, there's one more place, Chichire. 2001, then it was a single lane. So when we came back from Sweden in 2021, where we went to study on road crashes and then also preventing accident, the then Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer Meobri Yeboah, and then the planning director then, who later became the Director General, Engineer Osafa Donting, and I and some few others championed the cause of a dual carriage on that stretch, because then we had crashes which involved 81 injured victims and 14 deaths, which we went in to support them. After that, we've not heard of any serious accident until last 2 years. A car veered off from the other dual carriage into another. That was the first time. This particular one, you can see, is a car maintenance issue because there was a tire burst, which is what we have been talking all this while. The National Road Safety Authority, to the best of my knowledge, rolled out inspectorate direction. They have an inspectorate division at the Road Safety Authority who has inspectors around that before any car would go out, any bus plying that road will go out. Your tires are checked, your brakes, the passengers, everything, even a log that will take all of these people. This is the things that the inspectors were supposed to prevent, and it is happening now. This one is caused by a tie burst. So you can see on a dual carriage, the depths were less. Imagine if this is not a dual carriage. We would be in trouble by now. But thanks be to God. It means that then we have to step up in checking or inspecting the cars that move. Secondly, what could also cause this would be high speed or overspeeding. Overspeeding, which the National Safety Authority, I don't know which bus it is, but if it is 2M or any of them, or GPR2, they use these mini buses. If it is them, then I think they need to check the overspeeding, and then they also have to check the ties, you know. Because on that stretch, which is a dual carriage, we are thinking that it should lessen the crashes. You are causing this. It also means that the driver probably is impatient, you know, because we are driving a new campaign that patience on the road, speed kills, you know. So this could be as a result of the speeding. It could be as a result of a car not being properly checked or maintained or inspected, and then it veered off like that. Also, I think the passengers in there probably might have seen, like he said, maybe they have been silent, and this car had caused, the tie burst has caused this. It could also mean that the tire is probably over, you know, pumped. The vulcanizers. It could also be a cause, you know. But just as the cause have stated, and some that have added, could be the cause that is bringing these crashes on our roads. Now,
our roads, the road infrastructure, especially on the Accra-Kumasi highway, is in a deplorable state. We all agree. Do you think that it is the issue of just the road, or it is also an aspect of individual responsibility?
Well, it's all inclusive.
Yeah.
Formally, we think that we have thought, or the entire safety agents or safety advocates and campaigners have thought that the driver is the sole responsibility or the cause of the accident. But these days, no. You know, I will not even talk about the air, but before the air crash, we were even telling drivers about the foggy nature of the roads, that you need to slow down because
due to the weather.
Into the weather. Okay. So the weather is an aspect, as well as the environment. You know, the environment that the buses ply on is also another cause. Then the inside ones, the passengers. But most importantly, safer roads. The UN Decade of Action 2010 to 2030 stated or recommended that there must be safer roads. You know, safer roads where it means we have dual carriage, where the driver sees where he's going, the road he plies on is smooth, all right. There are traffic lights, there are speed lights where there are speed ramps, there are overpasses. Yesterday I was with the 16 children. One of them is going through a very serious traumatic, disorder, and it's part of our job to talk to them, counsel them, and bring them out of it. So we went to visit her on Monday, and then yesterday we went to the church to visit the church. And I can tell you, the pastor of the church was very angry, sent a message that I should give it to Transport Minister and also Road Safety Director General, that they should come and look at the roads. If that's the pastor speaking. If care is not taken, they are going to block the road. And indeed, we took our time to go there to go and see, my car is not too good. And so I'm very careful when I'm driving. Thanks be to God that my car was protected. It would have been another issue altogether. And when you look at the difficulty, this time it's no more a difficulty, it's more difficulty to danger. Because you can't tell what is in the water that can, burst your tire at any time. You get it? Who knows that maybe this guy passing there might, maybe a nail might have been, penetrated in the tire, and that could, because of the speed, that could cause. They can come out to say anything because of the deplorable road. At this particular time, I don't think the Pokwasi in Sawam road is safe for motorists to ply on at this moment. And let me quickly say, I've been saying this, it's sad to push blame on the current government. Because for where I sit, I think this thing should have been done even before December 2024. But the kind of neglect, that we all have sat down, we've ignored such a very important component of our economy. Transport brings a lot. Everybody, I say that everybody that even goes to church on Sunday goes through a risk, because somebody might come from Kwabenya to come to church at the Chado. You can see the risk that the person is going through. From Insawam, they go to churches at so many places. You know, so if the roads are good and the roads are safe, I can tell you we will have more victims than we have today. Now the victims have increased and we cannot even bear it anymore. So safer roads is the key word. Standardized road, which is the UN recommended road that we should do. And that's what Ghana should go for, especially with what we are seeing, especially after in Sawam Pokwasi Road, you go to Apedja, and from Apedja to Lendado, Bonsu, you know, from Bonsu to Enyinem, right going to where?
Osino.
Osino, good. Osino. Then you go to there's this Nkoko, then to Konongo, which we have students, you know, the 62 children. They come from there. And even the 16 that happened at Juaso, you know, the Bogu accident. Juaso and even Juaso, look, at Juaso, if we are a serious country, Juaso should be a dual carriage by now. Because Juaso, we have buried a young girl, 23, during the COVID. We call them Akufo-Addo children also. At that time, the free education had come. The girl was going to school, had an accident there. The face was slashed into two. So the National Security Authority asked me to stand in for them to beg so that we can bury her at Juaso and come and do the funeral at Tema.
Rev, is there one solution to this menace? How can we stop this once and for all?
Well, we cannot. It comes from a multi, dimensions. We all have, you have your role to play. Safety is personal. You have your role to play. Government also have a role to play, as well as NGOs like us have a role to play. Where we sit as accident victim support, I think the time has come that government cannot only say that they are fixing the road. If we have, at the end of the year, 15,000 injured victims. That alone is alarming, because out of these victims and their injured survivors and the degree of injuries could be killing them one after the other, which we have seen. And so I think government should now start partnering or ordering, because there is the compensation fund, where the compensation fund, you will have to assess it just like you are assessing insurance. People have not spoken about compensation fund yet, but the compensation fund is for victims who probably could not reach the police report or doctor's report, but there can be a proof that his or her situation is a result of a road crash, an ITI case. You understand? So I am pushing that, look, if the compensation fund or government, we are NGOs, non-governmental, but if government have compensation fund, government should at least call compensation fund, sit compensation fund down, that compensation fund can relax with his, process. The process you need to go through to acquire funds to take care of yourself. If that can be done, it will help us, because now everybody thinks accident victim support, government supports you, and so you should support them by force. No government. Let me thank the Pentecost Church, Apostle Eric Nyameche, who have sat with us, and now he's engaging us, helping us to remain. We would have folded off a long time, you see. But if government will say, okay, we are partnering with you, as well as compensation fund collecting all that they will collect from the insurance companies, they can now support crash victims. And the burden will be so less. We wouldn't even think of any other thing. Then government also would make sure that he himself or government machinery would speak up. You see, these things that are happening, if from the beginning government has spoken, just as the COVID issues came, and everyday fellow Ghanaians, I would thank the president for finally commensurating with the children when this one happened. At least he said sorry to them. It was a good move. I thank them also for going to donate. But it goes beyond donation. That's what we are doing. Because somebody suffering from PSTD, you can imagine what would happen. And we have lots of them.
Lots of them. Thank you so much.
But before I end, we are building the Accident Victims Home. And in November, we'll unveil the Accident Victims Home plan. We pray that corporate social responsibilities listening to me and churches listening to me, they would come also to support us. So we can do this home, especially for crash victims. It's a 33-story building that we are putting ultra modern. We'll unveil it on that day, but we are begging and pleading and appealing with Ghana that in November, when we are unveiling it, government should at least come and see and support it. Because I brought this from Sweden, and I have been trying to make sure that I do it. It's just recently that I realized last year when somebody was picked from the trauma center and was thrown out. That's why I said, no, we have to do this home so we can keep these victims, because there is life after crash.
That's
you cannot die. So please, we are appealing to you, when the day comes, don't look down on us, Ghana, corporate Ghana, and then government to come to our support. Let's do this. And I believe it will go a long way to help victims who get involved. They become so vulnerable and they cannot get help.
But can I just commend you? Thank you very much for your foundation. You're doing an amazing job. And thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right. Now, moving on, in the wake of the political race in the upcoming by-elections, political parties are urged to adopt political maturity and put aside party and personal interest in the order to properly provide welfare services for the Ghanaian citizen. This was revealed at the African Political Party Summit organized by the Africa Governance Center in partnership with the government of Ghana. Rodalyn Abnsa has more in this report.
Held under the theme From Politics to Prosperity, Strengthening Inter-Party Collaboration for Africa's Development and Economic Transformation, political leaders and civil society renewed commitment to step up efforts in democracy, development and unity. Speaking at the summit, National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Esiedu Nketia, called on political parties to shift from being election-winning machines to enduring institutions that channel political competition into constructive governance.
We've acknowledged that when politics becomes transactional, institutions suffer. When the long view is abandoned, the people's trust erodes. This summit has reminded us that political parties must be more than election-winning machines. They must be enduring institutions that channel political competition into constructive governance, that provide the intellectual and policy foundations for economic transformation, and that embody the discipline, vision, and moral leadership necessary for national progress.
Chief of Staff for the Republic of Ghana, Julius Deborah, also commended the Africa Governance Center for ensuring inter-party collaboration and promoting cultural integrity. He highlighted the need for political parties and governmental bodies to put into consideration the psyche and heritage of their people to properly construct a multi-party system.
I also heard you spoke about trying to build our democracy on our traditions and heritage, because naturally, if you want to practice multi-party democracy without necessarily factoring the base of your people, the psyche of your people, and the heritage of the people, you may end up building castles in the air. And so I'm so happy that you stress on that point, that part of your declaration should be that going forward, we should build our multi-party democracy based on the heritage of our people.
The Africa Political Party Summit 2025 marks a milestone for Africa's political landscape, signaling a new era for inter-party cooperation, democratic renewal, and shared responsibility for the continent's future. Rodalyn Abnsa's report read to you.
And to other stories, 6 professors recently promoted to the rank of associate professor have been encouraged to take their publications to an international audience. Speaking at the second pen ceremony of the College of Education at the University of Ghana, General Secretary of the African Research Universities Alliance, Professor John Owusu-Japon, urged the honorees to mark, influence their pens and make their research resonate beyond Ghana. Mamavi Sefako has more. The conference room of the Great Hall at the University of Ghana was filled to capacity as friends, family and faculty gathered to witness the second pen ceremony of the College of Education. 6 professors were honored and promoted to the rank of Associate Professor, marking a new milestone in their academic journeys. Speaking at the event, General Secretary of the African Universities Research Alliance, Professor John Owusu-Japon, urged the honorees to stand out and gain global recognition through their research.
You have been promoted to the rank of Associate Professor. To be promoted to that rank, I presuppose that you are an outstanding scholar. The next stage is becoming internationally acknowledged. And that is what I want you to focus your mind on. When you do that, your expertise shows beyond the boundaries of University of Ghana. You begin to wield influence, and you have the reputation.
The chairman of the occasion, Professor Samuel Ni Adikujo, provost of the College of Education, outlined the responsibilities and expectations that come with their new rank.
We believe that the award scheme will promote academic excellence, encourage research, and stimulate the spirit of innovation in the college. To our awardees, congratulations. Your achievements are commendable. I urge you to continue striving for excellence and avoid complacency. Let these recognition be a stepping stone to even greater accomplishments.
Some of the honorees also shared their academic experiences and aspirations with JoyNews, reflecting on their journey and challenges overcome to reach the stage.
My journey has been good. It's not something that you can say is an easy ride, but with God on our side, we're able to do it. Putting papers together, especially conducting research, is a tedious job, and it is something that you will not just walk over it.
Yeah, it calls for more work to be done, and it means I need to work harder, publish more, and to get to the ultimate, which is a full professorship.
The second pen ceremony not only celebrated academic achievement, but also sets the stage for the next chapter in scholarship and global engagement for these 6 professors. Mamavi Sefakote reporting for JoyNews. And it's now time for some business updates. Fuel prices at the pumps are expected to remain stable despite earlier reports suggesting a possible increase. Thus, according to the chief executive of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Riverson Opon, he told Joy Business that only a marginal rise in prices was recorded in the current pricing window, insufficient to trigger any significant change at the pumps.
Number of windows want to see a plateaued price, and for me, anything below 0.5% increase or decrease, you realize that they don't really change it. And we saw that last window, this particular window, when fuel prices were escalating marginally, just below 1%, and you yourself, you mentioned that Gold still kept their prices. Most of the oil marketing companies kept their prices because when it's very marginal and you still have stock from an old window, you want to keep the market running.
Dr. Riverson, thank you so much for joining us here on Business Live. I truly appreciate your input this very moment. You're still watching Business Live. We have more stories for you.
And the World Bank's latest Ghana economic update has raised concerns over the financial stability of the Ghana Cocoa Board, warning that persistent operational and fiscal challenges could undermine one of the country's most vital export industries. According to the report, despite high record global cocoa prices, Ghana's cocoa production remains weak, while Cocoa Board owes significant amount to its suppliers.
The World Bank in the report noted that the agency's involvement in activities beyond its core mandate, known as quasi fiscal operations, has further heightened financial risk. The report cautioned that these challenges, if left unresolved, could have wider implications for Ghana's economy, given cocoa's critical role as a major source of foreign exchange and rural incomes.
In agriculture, COCOBOD, the agency responsible for cocoa, also faces financial instability. Despite high global cocoa prices, Ghana's cocoa production is weak, and COCOBOD owes large amounts to its suppliers. Its involvement in activities beyond its main business, also known as quasi-fiscal operations, further increases financial risks. To address these challenges and protect Ghana's financial future, it is crucial to strengthen oversight and accountability in both the energy and agricultural sectors. This will help reduce risks and ensure long-term stability. The situation is thus urgent. Each month that reforms are delayed results in significant additional losses for the nation.
The World Bank also warned that the financial situation of Electricity Company of Ghana could get worse by the end of this year.
The country's finances, and these are long-standing problems that we all well know. In the energy sector, non-cost reflective tariffs, high utility distribution and collection losses, and foreign exchange and inflationary pressures have led to substantial contingent liabilities. The government's Energy Sector Reform Program, ESRP, has not solved these problems, and every year the government must provide significant financial support. The Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, built up new debts to independent power producers and fuel suppliers in 2024. If no action is taken, ECG is expected to have a funding gap of $2.2 billion in 2025, with total shortfalls reaching over $9 billion by the end of 2026. So this annual amount that I just mentioned, the estimate of $2.2 billion, is actually more than Ghana receives from the World Bank and the IMF in any given year, thus indicating the magnitude that we are facing.
The World Bank is asking government to work to improve the cocoa sector and the Electricity Company of Ghana.
You've probably danced to Black Sherif's Sacrifice, one of the standout songs on his chart-topping Iron Boy album. On Showbiz A to Z's new segment, The Music Lab, host Kwame Darcy and his guest stripped the song down for a technical postmortem. Audio engineer Kofi Boachi Ansah, known in the industry as Beat Menace, admitted Blacko's vocal delivery was great. He argued the track lacked an emotional arc that could have given its triumph message more punch.
I think it's very well executed because, I mean, the ethos of what Blacko stands for is a balance between street credibility and personal ambition, which is very thematic. You know, I mean, the particular song, this song in question, also handles some of these questions of trying to find yourself, challenges, you know, and triumph in the face of adversity, you know. So I think he did a really nice job with, you know, his performance. There was one thing I missed, though. I felt there was an emotional arc I was expecting, like a point where he actually goes beyond, because at some point there were lots of variations, don't get me wrong, but it was nearly as if it was repetitive, which is also very important in songwriting, because that's how people can latch on to the core idea of what you're trying to say. And at a certain point, I think there's also space for like a lift to let it attain a certain level of transcendence.
So some gear change.
Exactly.
That yes.
Sometimes these things can be done in the production or the approach to the use of specific effects on the song, or with vocal delivery. But typically, it's a combination of both. You understand? Like, you know, for certain songs, there'll be key changes, there'll be certain transitions, and so on and so forth. Especially given the theme of the song.
Yeah.
All right.
So I felt that was missing, and it would have perhaps giving it a little more edge.
For voice coach and artist development manager Freeman Daniel Ame, the second chorus truly stood out, but says the song would have soared even higher if a powerful bridge had been added.
I captured that it was very reflective.
Okay.
You know, it was intentional. And he found a way to try to keep it melancholic enough. Not too sad, not too happy, you know. And that's why I don't beat him up too much on not doing certain technical stuff, you know. If you listen to the chorus, the second chorus, he tried to emote even more sadness, you know, than, you know, if the second chorus very... After that, when he did he just kept the repetition. I would have loved a bridge. I would have loved the bridge, but I understand he was able to emote from there, and that thing you were saying about creating more, you know, gear changes, emotional gear changes or technical gear changes. It didn't go too far.
Okay.
But I think because these days the songs are shorter, you know, but he got me from the second verse, and that was good enough, because you need only so much time to show that, you know, for me, sound, people trust how you sound more than what you say.
And broadcaster Austin Wood agreed Sacrifice is catchy, but criticized it for being overly repetitive, but says its opening line, Problem Day, Better Call Jesus, is so powerful it will transcend generations.
I think the repetition of the lyrics is not something I subscribe to, because with such a great record, I thought that I would get more from such a great act, but it was something that was repetitive, and at a point in time, it gets boring for me, because I thought he could have done more. But now the pros, Kwame, we talk about the opening of every song. This record and the opening of it will transcend generations and would go beyond the current popularity it enjoys. Because you see, Kwame, we should know the background of the person doing the song. This is a young boy who is Muslim, and with such a record on an album that everybody was looking up to. The best song on the album, he starts by saying, if you have problems, better call Jesus. Kwame, this cuts across. It would be something that anybody can use, and it will transcend even the young people who have affinity towards his music. Because you remember the infamous, I think, Methodist preacher who used the Obrafo Manifest song in church.
Yeah.
And how he talked about it. I think that such a man of God can use this as well. Just the opening line. Kwame, is so powerful. It touches. And if you're just in a friend's car, you've not heard the song before, the first thing after you get down from the car is that first opening statement will linger on your mind. And I'm telling you, once you are home, that is the first thing you would sing to. And I think it's so powerful. And for a young man who is Muslim and his background, for him to have used that if there is a problem, you better call on Jesus. It was planned. It's not just somebody putting lyrics together. It was something that was planned. And the impact of just that line is so huge. I don't know if the other guests have talked about it, but for me, the impact of that line, knowing Ghana and the Christian faith, and even mentioning the name of Jesus, that when you have a problem, you better call on him, I think is something that got my attention when I listened to the album and that particular song for the first time.
Well, you know what they say, true art is too intricate to be perfect. Well, that's all. We wrap up for Joy Newsroom. My name is Sheila Sechi. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Up next is The Law. Stay with us.